Now we are going to start with the next topic, that is the microbes in the sewage treatment. See, what is sewage? Sewage is the municipal waste water containing large quantities of human excreta, that is, which contains large amount of organic matter. Please, this is a key word. You must remember that it contains organic matter and microbe. Human excreta is a organic matter. So what is the need? So as to decompose the organic matter. So large amount of the organic matter and pathogenic microbes are there in the sewage that is to be treated. So before discharging of that into natural bodies like river, sewage water is made less polluted. Okay, so what is the treatment given so as to make them less polluting? That is called as a sewage treatment. So basically it is carried out in two stages, that is the primary treatment and secondary treatment. Primary treatment is called as a physical treatment. Why? Because there is no chemical change occurs. So it is a physically removal of large and small particles from the sewage. It is physically, look here in the diagram, you can see that firstly wire gauze is there, then grit chamber, and then sedimentation tank. So it is a physical removal of the particles. First, the floating debris is removed by the sequential filtration by passing through wire mesh screen. Can you see? Secondly, then grit, soil and small pebbles are removed by sedimentation. You can see they are being settled down, and then that gets when settled down in a settling tank. This is called as a settling tank. The sediment is called as a primary sludge and the supernatant is called as affluent. So here you are going to study the two main words. Look here, that here, look here, that here there is a sedimentation, and here you can see in that it is moving. So the things which like soil, pebbles, this gets settled down, and the thing which gets settled down is called as a primary sludge, and above supernatant is called as a affluent. Then affluent is taken for the secondary treatment. You can see here written, the settled solid forms a primary sludge and supernatant. This so formed is called as a supernatant, that moves, and that is called as a affluent, and the things which settle down is called as a primary sludge. Now this is then primary affluent is then passed into for the secondary treatment, and secondary treatment is called as a biological treatment. Why it is called as a biological treatment? Because here we will be using various types of bacteria and fungi so as to break down the organic matter. That is why it is called as a biological treatment. So first point, primary affluent is passed into large aeration tank. What does aeration means? Which is being circulated with the air. That is called as a aeration tank. And here you can see here, you can see in this is a aeration. See, affluent is coming in the aeration tank and it is going through that chamber, and then later on it is turning to be a secondary affluent. Now what is the way that how it turns from the primary affluent to the secondary affluent? We will be studying in this. See, it is when passed through the aeration tank, like very with a very high speed in the mixie, the things gets rotated. Similarly, agitation occurs here mechanically. You can see here, mechanically here you can see that the agitation occurs. Agitation means at a very high speed they are moved and air is supplied. That is why it's called aeration tank. Now, secondly, when they are agitated, what happens? What is the need for agitation? This allows vigorous growth of useful aerobic microbes into flocs, bacteria which are associated with the fungal filaments to form a mesh-like structure. These microbes consumes the organic matter in the effluent, which results the BOD to move down in the effluent. Okay, now let me explain you this. When we are using aerobic microbes, when they are agitated, then their growth rapidly increases. With the agitation, with the air supply, the aerobic microbes growth increases, and that leads to the formation of flocs. Now, what are flocs? These are the masses of bacteria associated with the fungal filament. Bacteria plus fungi form a mesh like structure. Mesh means wire, jali like structure. Now, what happens when the water is polluted? Please listen me carefully. When the water is polluted, the BOD, that is called as a biological oxygen demand, is more. And when the water is not polluted, the BOD gets lowered. Keep this thing in mind. Okay. So what is our main aim is to make the BOD value low. Otherwise, in the sewage, the value of the BOD is very high. So what happens? That microbes, they consume organic matter, and when they consume the organic matter, they reduce the biological oxygen demand. What does it mean? That bacteria's pollution is not there in the water, so the oxygen demand will decrease. So when BOD gets reduced, then what happens? They affluent is passed into a settling tank. Here bacterial flocks settle down, they get sediment, and then they form activated sludge. Look here look here, this is the aeration tank, and now the bacteria, they have settled down, and when they get settled down, then it is called as a